Good morning and welcome to another episode of Manna in the Morning. I'm Adele Tiat and I'm coming to you live from Tilbach in South Africa. Today I want to connect a few dots that doesn't maybe seem related, but the more I'm thinking about it, the more I think that our spiritual growth, our emotional state and our physical well-being are all connected, because when God made us, He made us one being with spirit, soul and body. And I don't think that He intended for us to live as if these three parts of us have nothing to do with each other. Because they do. They are intricately linked and they affect each other. So I'm going to read to you a few scriptures that may sound unrelated, but just hang with me. So I want to start with 1 Corinthians 9, let me start with Deuteronomy 6, verse 5. It says, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength." So that just sort of ties it together. If all our heart, our soul, our strength, everything, our entire being should be focused on loving God, then how do we think about all of these different aspects of life? How do we handle all of our different parts as a human being? So 1 Corinthians 9 verse 25, it's Paul speaking. He says, "A true athlete will be disciplined in every respect, practicing constant self-control in order to win a laurel wreath that quickly withers. But we run our race to win a victor's crown that will last forever. For that reason, I don't just run for exercise or box like one throwing aimless punches. I don't just run for exercise or box like one throwing aimless punches, but I train like a champion athlete. I subdue my body and get it under my control so that after preaching the good news to others, I myself won't be disqualified." Now, that's an interesting scripture, because it kind of implies that letting our physical bodies just go downhill, which is the natural progression of things, has the risk of leaving us being disqualified spiritually. Not in the sense that we lose our salvation, but I think we run the real risk of losing out on reward that God intended for us because we didn't practice self-control, because we didn't do the things that we needed to do in order to stay healthy, to be healthy. And as I'm saying this to you, I am close to 30 kgs overweight. So, yes, I know I distribute it very evenly. Most people are very shocked when I say that. But it's true. And this is something that God has been speaking to me about. Because I've realized that, one, when you're overweight, part of the reason why you're there is because you're not eating the way that you were designed to be eating. And the reason we don't do that is because we lack self-control. It's because I for one, find myself eating all kinds of wrong things, but going to food when I should be going to God because of emotional things going on inside of me. How many of you are emotional eaters? Do you eat because you want to feel better in a particular situation? Then maybe we need to think about, am I practicing self-control? Am I taking my issues to God, or am I looking to food to meet my need? Yeah, I know I'm not alone in that boat. So, no judgment to you, but we need to think about this. Luke 16 verse 11, "If you have not handled the riches of this world with integrity, why should you be trusted with the eternal treasures of the spiritual world?" So completely unrelated, money. How we handle our money affects how quickly we can grow spiritually. It affects what God can trust us with spiritually, because if we cannot be faithful in how we handle our money, and if we cannot handle our money in a way that expresses trust and obedience and yieldedness to Christ, He cannot trust us with the spiritual riches. So how do you handle your money? And it comes back again to how often do we handle our money the wrong way because we have emotional things going on, that we go and spend money on stuff that we don't need to make us feel better in the moment. Or even worse, we go and spend the money on junk food so that we can feel better in the moment. Now we've just wasted both opportunities to practice self-control. And silly things. There's so many arguments in the church about tithing. Like, why is that such a big argument? Why is it so difficult for us to say that God is my provision, God is my provider, everything I get comes from Him, and what He gives me is going to be enough? Now, He wants the first 10%. He wants me to willingly come and bring back that first 10% to Him. The first 10%, not after tax and after all my expenses. The first 10%. Otherwise, it's not 10% of what you got. And we in the New Testament that we are living in this age, we want to argue about whether tithing is under the law. Or what are we really doing? We're trying to get out of it. Which just shows that our heart is not in the right place. In reality, if we're under a better covenant than they were in the Old Testament, where it was required by law, then we should be giving more than 10%. Now, we shouldn't be bickering about the 10%. It's not about the amount. And when we say it's not about the amount, oftentimes what we really want to have in our mind is justification to not give the 10. But it isn't about the amount. It is about the heart. And if you're not willing to give the 10, it shows that your heart is attached to the money. Your heart is not attached to God as the provision. Because God is unlimited. Now, if we have an unlimited provider, an unlimited provision, source of provision, then giving 10% the moment it comes in really should be the easiest thing in the world to do. Because if this is a river coming down, a constant flow of provision, which is what we can expect from God because He takes care of us. I don't care what it looks like in the natural sometimes. That is the truth. He takes care of us. He provides for all our needs. And more. He's a God of overflow. He's a God of abundance. But do we bicker about that bit as if He gave it to us in a little tiny cup? Or do we treat it like a flow of provision coming our way? If there's a waterfall coming down, what you catch with your cup to pour out 10% is really not difficult to do. But we lose sight of the waterfall. We lose sight of the river. And we look at the tiny little cup and we think, oh, if I pour out 10%, then the 90% that's left is not going to be enough for me. I'm still going to be thirsty. Stop looking at the cup in your hand and start looking at the river. God has everything we need. Jesus plus nothing equals everything you need. So if we can sort out these emotional nonsense that's going on in us, and we can get self-control practicing in our finances and in our bodies, I think we will see spiritual breakthroughs that we never anticipated before. Spiritual breakthroughs that have evaded us for a long, long, long time. So, this is my challenge to you today. Go and think about, how do you handle your body and how do you handle your finances? And do you want greater spiritual riches to come your way? Because the 2, the 3, all of these things are essentially linked. They're not separate issues. We're not in little compartments. That this is one thing, and this is another thing. We have this concept of secular and spiritual. No. You are a spirit. You have a soul. You live in a body. But you are one. So everything is connected. That's my thought for you today. Have a fantastic day, and I'm about to go and do some exercise and practice some self-control. Have a lovely day, everyone. See you tomorrow. Cheers.